Cool. Hey, everyone. I think it's a lot quieter today. There's not too many viewers right now, but I'm going to go ahead and post on Twitter and let everyone know that we are now live. So let me know how the audio is. I do have the mic on, so. Right, I'm also going to start off by going over some of the recent changes that Chris, the gameplay programmer, has made to the game. Actually, first I'm going to get some water. Alright. So, let's open up the latest version of the game. So this is a level called Game Test Redux, and basically what I do is I use it as a sandbox level, and it has all the mechanics kind of combined together. So basically what I do is I try to test out everything here in this level, and then because I know if it's working here, then it's going to be working in the other parts as well. Okay, right. So see, this part will need to be redone. Hey, Red Garlic, how's it going? I think this time you're the first one here. I'm not sure all the regulars, Ed Riofer, Main GI, I'm not sure where they are, or Jet User. But, yeah, so, and we've been working on this kind of, now there's a new way to see which direction the line is pointing in. I'm going to go ahead and actually try something here to see if it's working. Well, actually, first I want to go back to Game Field Test 3. Which is duplicate level, and copy something over. And then in just a bit, after kind of going through the recent changes, I'm gonna look at how to generate trees and try to come up with an algorithm for that. Alright, so Game Field Test 3. So this is the kind of the new area. You can see I kind of have it set up in this structure so that we're talking about this structure specifically, so that every direction has kind of an equal amount of space. And then so this, for example, this is the green wall where I test all the green gravity trees and cubes. And then at the point where they intersect, that's where I have objects that's where I have setups that require two different colors. So for example, in order to open this door, you need both the yellow box and an orange box. So actually this line, wait a minute. Oh wait, this should actually be orange. So yeah, I've color coded I've vertex colored each piece so that they show the correct color. So for example, right, so this line should actually be orange. So we're going to change that here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy this and then paste it in my other scene. Alright, here it is. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and paste it in this level. Alright, now I'm looking up the player object. So the player is right in there, but I actually want I want to bring the player to this section, and then we're gonna see if these new large pieces are working. Hey, Jet user, hello. There was no pre-stream conversation today. I think everyone was in a lot later. Red Garlic was the first one here. So right now, we've kind of set up this line system, and I'm trying to test it out to see if it's working right now. Oh, okay. So basically, the idea is that you can place, you know, I can go ahead and place this box. Is that? Okay, you see now the line. Actually, you know what? Hold on a second. We're going to split up the game view. Hey, Latravis, how's it going? Ah, I see. I'm not modelless. Well, I think it's a lot quieter now today, so I think we're good. Hackathon. Right, so basically, so Chris told me he set up the line connection system, and what I want to pay attention to is how this line here lights up, because I actually can't see it when I'm inside the game. So okay, so it is lighting up in the forward direction. Right, it's lighting up. You can see that it's traveling along the arrows. So basically when I put the box here, the light travels up this path, across this one, and then comes back down here and opens this door. Okay, the door is actually not super important. I want to pay attention to the lines at the moment. Oh, but see, the problem right now is that it's unfilling in the forward direction, which I don't want. I actually want it to unfill in the reverse direction. Now let me, because you can see here, I think this is, unless we've changed this, let me check to see. No, see, so that says forward unfill. Oh, no, wait, he's got it working. Wait, let me look at his notes. Okay. Never mind, it looks like he got it working. He initially told me that it wasn't possible, but actually, so, because the thing is, I don't actually want this piece here. I'm gonna test something. So we will zoom out on the scene view so you can all have a better view of it. Okay, that should be yellow and blue, not yellow and red. Oh, so that should be green and yellow, not orange and green. I'm not sure what Chris has done. These definitely need to have their patterns changed, because right now they look, I think they're a little too big, and it's actually not that easy to see the line that's in the middle of it. So I don't really have a solution for it right now. Oh, so yeah, the player falls out of the wall when you, when the frame rate's a little slow. Hey! Yeah, La Treve. So now you can see that they're basically a set of independent... Yeah, why is this... I'm not sure why this is being colored as yellow, but... It's basically like a set of wires and switches that is generic, and I can kind of switch them around for the purpose of level design. So, because it used to be in the previous version that I wrote, everything was hard-coded, and now it's actually a much more generic system, which is a lot easier to work with and allows for more interesting puzzles. Right, yes, yeah, it was unfilled forward direction was checked before. How has it been working with another program? So I actually have two programmers. David, he works part-time doing editor tools and optimization. And Chris, who works more closely with me on programming, and Chris works full-time. He's going to be working full-time for 3 months. He's about a month in. Hey, Red Bulbs, how's it going? It definitely... I actually think you slow down a bit when you work with another programmer, at least on a personal level. So, whereas before you're working on like 100% efficiency, you're probably working at 80% efficiency. And this is an analogy that a friend of mine, who's a senior programmer at another game studio, told me. So, like, if you're on a team, everyone is working at 80% efficiency because you have to communicate, and you gotta wait for others, and if something's broken, you gotta wait for them to fix it. Which can feel slower at first because you're used to working at 100% efficiency, but you gotta remember it's like, there's 3 of you working at 80%, so at the end of the day, you're still working at like 240%, so you're much better off than before. Good, yeah, I mean, it's Monday, so kind of, a little harder to get back into the rhythm of things, but anyway, this is a new system that we're working on. It does need... Tomorrow I'm going to be working on some example puzzles with this system to see the limits. But right now the biggest concern is that the visual design of it needs to get changed, because first of all, it's really ugly. And second of all, it's really hard to see the lines that are on these pieces, and they need to be very visually noticeable right away. Alright, I'm going to go back to making these, having the scene and game view overlap so that I can see more of it. And then what we are going to do is we are going to start working on trees. So what I want to do in this stream is try to figure out what's the right algorithm for a good-looking tree, and how I can try to make that, generalize that so that I can create an editor tool and generate the generate the trees automatically for me instead of building it by hand. And what I'll do is I'll kind of start off by showing how I made the trees at first. So I used a program called Quadro. And it's super handy if you are working with reference images. Because what it does is it allows you to keep them always on top of the screen. I don't know if I'm going to use an L system. I'll show you what I mean in a bit. Right, so this is... Let's open these images. So the nice thing with Quadro is you can right click, it's free. You can right click the image and do always on top. And then that way, even if you're working in Unity, it's not going to, these images will still stay. So that's really handy. Alright, always on top. And you can actually save it, so you don't always have to do what I'm doing right now. You can save these preset boards. Oh, great. So it looks like one of them we forgot to put on top. Always on top. Oops. Right. So the way I was doing it before, so I have like a 1x1. So the base is always 1 unit by 1 unit wide. And I'm using ProBuilder, which is a plugin for Unity that lets me kind of do 3D modeling inside of Unity. Wow, my computer is really slow right now. Okay. So this is usually how wide the base of the tree is. Right, and the way I was doing it before was I would just go like... So I'd have it about 3 units tall. Oh. We're gonna bring the... I also want to bring the player object a lot closer so that when I go into play mode, I don't have to travel across the level to get to where I want to be. And I think the World Wrap Manager probably needs to have its values updated as well. No, that looks fine. Okay. Oh, weird. I just realized Quadro doesn't actually show up in the monitor capture, which is really weird. So actually what I am going to do is I'm going to keep them on my other screen then. And do... Huh. Does the world wrapping manage to create new objects, or is it just shader trickery? It's not, it doesn't really create new objects, but it's also not shader trickery. There's something else that we're doing that goes pretty low level, so I actually think David would be much better at explaining that, the details of that, but It doesn't create new objects, and it's also not shader trickery, is the answer. Alright, so that's the reference image I am working with. Okay. Well, Travis, are you also a game developer as well? All right, actually, I'm gonna make green the vertical parts and yellow the horizontal parts. Part of the problem is also these trees need to have a path that the player can walk down. Oh, what kind of game is it? Oh, okay. It seems like it's still pretty early. Yeah, infancy, just about a month in. So what I do want eventually is something like this, where I would open up this screen and then I can kind of check off certain boxes and then put some numbers, kind of the size that the tree needs to fit in. And then this would get generated. So I feel like this is very simple, the base part, right? Because all we're doing is saying that at the end of it's like you could choose. I'm gonna start trying to write some of this down. Ah, I see. Okay. Well, you know, if you ever want to do the game critique stream, just send me the build and I can would love to check it out. Man, it's a very low energy stream today. I'm like pretty tired. It's been a very long day for me. Tree generator. So input parameters that I'm looking for is a vector 3 for size. Right, because I want to be able to say it's, you know, I want it this wide, this deep, and this tall, and then have the tree generate that single gravity or double gravity, and which gravity. But I also want to say how many trees, how many cubes growing on it, how many cubes, number of cubes growing on the tree. Okay. Because I'm thinking the algorithm here right now is like, well, you generate this base, and then it has a number of paths that it can generate to. And then at some point, the base has to end. So this is the tree base, I think. I guess the top part is actually so I guess this is like an L system, except instead of branching in every direction, I simply am choosing one direction to go in. But then I'm not. The thing is, then I'm not getting stuff like this. I'm not getting this like twist here in the tree, which I want. So maybe that can get hard-coded in. So it's like, in addition to these, it can also choose to do a twist. And a twist, we would define it as something like, I am looking to have a sort of walking path over the tree. I just don't know how to define it. Because the pathing, the walking path is kind of weird. I'll show you with this example here. Is that it's really hard to predict how the player, what the path are going to look like with the tree. So for example, let's say I want to walk up this tree to get... There's a cave generation algorithm where you have a miner that moves in a random algorithmic movement, and at each step can spawn another mine. Yeah, okay, well, so let me show you this. Like, I want to be able to get that top box, right? And the idea with this is you would do something like, you would walk along this path on the tree. You can get pretty close from here, assuming you don't fall off. So that's the other thing. I'm wondering if I should make these paths a lot wider, the tree trunk a lot wider, so that it's an easier path to walk on. Okay, so the idea is actually, you don't want to continue from here, right? You want to turn around and then rotate onto this piece and then try to grab it. And this isn't the easiest thing to do. So yeah, it's like I need to make the path, but also have an area on the path where the player can rotate back onto for the correct gravity. It's like before I even make the algorithm, before I even write it, I need to figure out what exactly the rules for the tree are, so I know what to do. Yeah, so I'm thinking it's like, okay, you do this is a twist, and then any new piece would have to be like, right, so the twist is the yellow and green part. And then the new branch can either grow this way. Actually, you know, I should save it. So it'll be one of the pink branches. But it has 3 options to grow from here. And then the reason why it's not 4 is just because I think I think this looks kind of weird if it bends back around. So guys, I had like 4 hours of sleep, so I'm just super exhausted. Like I was fine up until half an hour ago, and I was just like, I feel I'm gonna fall asleep in front of the computer. Alright, so this is, so I think maybe this is what I would call a twist. A twist. So I think it'd be like a combination of trunk and twist. Well, there can only be so many. Oh. No, that is T. The thing is, I don't, you know, the reason why I didn't get a lot of sleep was because on Sunday, I was like, oh man, I got this big week ahead. I'm gonna do a lot of planning and coding and level design. And I made a big pot of coffee on Sunday night, and then I couldn't get any sleep. So I'm not gonna drink coffee. Where is my, okay, right, so this, we're gonna call this the twist. And the twist is going to have these pieces in it. This is more just kind of developing a language. I think I'm going to have David is probably going to be the one that's going to write it, but I just want to make sure we have like a language we're using to talk about this piece. And I think he's going to, the script he's going to use is not going to be ProBuilder. He's got his own mesh generating thing. Well, it just uses Unity's default mesh generation, which I guess ProBuilder does too, but it just bypasses ProBuilder. So I suppose the way to do this would be then you calculate, you get the midpoint. You get like you start off with a box. You get the midpoint, go to the bottom, draw the single branch going up, and then you would calculate the distance from the wall of the box to the center. Thing is, it also doesn't have to be exactly in the center. Trunk. Right, so like the base trunk doesn't always need to be directly in the middle of the tree. Because you can see in the reference image on the bottom left, the base trunk is to the right of the tree. Oh, maybe the reason why no one is here is because they're doing summer games done quick. Alright, so now we want to do the part where the branches. So I'm going to call this branch. I think this stream is only going to go until 9:30 because that's about the latest I can stay up. So the stream will be an hour instead of an hour and a half. Alright, so basically they always go, so the thing that's easy is that the leaves always grow on top of a branch that's pointing up. To keep things simple for now, the game object's position could be the base of the tree, and then you take the size of the tree into account later. Oh, I see. Right. Yeah. That's a good idea. Yeah, I'm not even there yet. I'm like just trying to define the language that I'm using. So that might be, so like I basically know it's like only when I do a top pointing branch am I going to get a leaf, right? And the leaf, and that, so that top pointing branch can always be, it's either two, they seem to always be two. It might be a good idea to keep it consistent. So, you know what? Let's stick with 2 for now, and not get too complex. So you know this is a branch, and it can have. Right, I'm gonna try to make a bunch of variations of the branching. Yeah, I really should keep things simple for now. In fact, I think when I go to when I actually start to write the code, I'll probably just start out with like drawing these things, having a bunch of branches. I'm probably going to do an L system. Though I think to do the size, you'd have to take the size of it and then figure out. You'd have to use the size and then calculate speed tree. Is speed tree a plugin? Oh. I mean, I would need it to be a very particular style. The model. I think these are too these seem too complex. Yeah, honestly, I think for my own purposes, I think it'd be a lot easier to just write my own system. Thing is, there is also the same, but maybe the thing is the branches also go down, and they do something like, right, so they do this, right, they do, yeah, it is, right. I mean, I do also think this is kind of an interesting problem. Plus, I think I need kind of full control over exactly how it's generated, because of how specifically this tree is being used in the game. So I guess this means that when you generate the next branch, you can have it be, you basically have 6 faces it can go from. Right, because this, like, what I mean is these two are really the same, right? I just simply choose, all you need to do is remember the previous direction, and then if you go below, you can then choose a number of different directions to grow in. Things I don't even know if this tree is the right one. But what about the path for the player? The path for the player means that at one point I would need to do this. So that means every tree would need at least one twist, right? Because the only way that the player will be able to rotate onto its own gravity is if something like this happens. So the player can it's easier to start with the path and build the tree around it, and I think you are right. So in fact, so that means that if I have a tall tree, I should, if I have the, right, okay, no, I think you are absolutely right. So it's like if you have a really tall block, that would be the priority. It would be to generate the path. No, you're right. So this is what I'm thinking with the path, right? So the path means that in one direction, the path needs to dip down like this so that I can face this way and rotate onto this. Right, and then I gotta have, and then I can put the box there. It's like I'm trying to put this into programming logic. Right, because then the thing is, so the block could be here, could be here, but the thing is, I would also need to make sure that there's no. Okay, right. So this is what I'm going to do. So let's say this is where the box is going to be. Let's say this is where the box is going to be. Okay, let's make this. Right, let's make this, let's make the red, no, you know what, we're going to make it white, and that is going to be where the box is, and that means that the branches, that means that there needs to be this like safe space below. Yeah, I mean, the lucky, I'm you know, I'm sort of fortunate in that eventually I can just kind of pass this off to David, but before I do that, I still need to figure, and he's going to do the actual editor tool programming. But it would be kind of cool to sort of start off writing the basics of how this tree generating system works. And I think I also, like right now, this isn't so much a programming problem as a design problem. So I was thinking, right, what we do, you just realize that the block isn't even that big. So actually it needs to be more like this. So it's like if I have the block, right, this thing, this is going to be a safe space. So nothing should grow inside this red. And then everything can grow around it. Well, okay, no, see? Ah, okay, so see, we need to define spaces. Okay, that's right. So Travis is completely right. We gotta set the path. The path has to be set first, and then we gotta make the tree grow around it. Okay, so and now I am understanding what must be done. Right, so I got it. Okay, so that's like where the player is going to stand. But then before that, it's like I need to make sure that there is 2.5 inches of space along this path that the player can walk on. So it's like it needs to be like we need to set the path and this and have these overlapping blocks. that basically, like, once this is set, right? Once this is set, we can then, so we would generate a bunch of these blocks. Generate a bunch of these blocks on top of this to make sure that there's room for the player to walk on. And then what we can do is we just generate the tree around it. So every time a tree gets here, we would say, okay, no, this red block is blocking it, so you want to go around. And that way we make sure that the path to the tree, the path to the block is always open. Right. Of course, I do need to generate a leaf here. And I think it's actually good to have these blocks overlap, so that they look really messy, because that way it's not going to look super obvious that there's a path every time. Okay, and then what we would do is we would generate the branches. Although now to pick the branch generation points, maybe every node, every end node would have, let me see what I did here. So I think the branches only come off of giant, the end of the trunk pieces. So that would mean that I would only have, right, so never mind. I was going to say every node should be a possible branch generator, but I think that should only be for the end nodes, and I'd have to do something to make sure that, like, I have to eliminate the case where it's 0. Right, because I don't want a completely empty tree. The thing is, I'd also want to make sure I have a seed save system. Because I don't want, right, like it's taking in the parameters, the size parameters, but I don't want that to be the only, I don't want all trees of the same size to look the same. So we'd have to have some random variation. The thing is, I do want to be able to duplicate that system. I also need to be able to have it a single gravity tree that's part of a double gravity tree. That's something that will become clear later on. I'm going to go ahead and save this. So tree generator notes. Okay, and in the branches we have I suppose the twist doesn't actually need to be anything special as well, right? Because we can just say, well, no, I think the twist needs to be special because it also wouldn't be bad to have to have some manual input, so it could be, you know, it gets here and then, or you know, I could generate the path. At the very least, even if I can't figure out how to do it, I can generate the path and then hit tree generation and go from there. Because even if if the only thing I have to do is generate the main path up to the first block, that's actually still that still makes the process a lot easier. It would be nicer to, of course, to have it be completely automated, but I'm not opposed to having some manual input. Yeah, because this structure, this like C shape, is sort of what's important. Because that's what, and then this base needs to be, like, basically for this base, then it needs to be either to the left or on the same plane as the rest of the trunk, right? Because if it's above, then there's no way. If it's here, there's no way the player can get to it. Because they can't get to it from the other side, right? This C is directional. Like, the player can only rotate when they come from that side. So that means this yellow. Sounds like something I'd have to talk to David about and really clarify this issue. And then there's also the placement of the blocks. I mean, I'm thinking when I set number of blocks around the tree, I can also set their height. Yeah, the C shape should be a component. But I'm saying, like, so the C shape needs to come, right? So this is the C shape, but it needs to be placed exactly here. Like, it can't be here. So it needs to know the rest of the path. So that means that when you pick the trunk, you can pick the distance of the cube and the trunk, and then the trunk always has to grow towards the cube and then the tree, and then we can set the direction of the C shape. And then once that is set, we would put the red blocks to show where the player needs to be able to walk on, and therefore not have anything grow into that space. And then we generate everything else. What if I started with the C shape and the fruit and build backwards towards there? That is also a very good point. And probably better, right? So then the C shape, that actually might be good, because then that way it lets the player always know what to expect. Like, I don't think it's something that it will be super obvious, like a dead giveaway, but I think that's actually a really good point. So we should start off, no, actually, that is a good idea, right? So we would start off with the fruit, the branch leading to the fruit, and then we can set the height of the fruit. So we would know, right, okay, got it. So this is what the logic of it should be, and I think, right, we'd start off with the C shape and the fruit, and we would know the height that the fruit needs to be at. And then what we do is we would grow back. We know the direction of the C shape, so the trunk would have to grow always in that other direction, so we would eliminate it. That's right. Once we have that path and the red blocks, then we generate the rest of the tree. Aha. What if I have more than one block? Because the low blocks are easy. No, you know what? You are absolutely right. We should start from the fruit. If there's multiple fruit, we would have to pick the center. They would all grow towards it, which would then grow the trunk. No, technically, no. I don't need, if I... The only problem would be if I have more than one fruit that's really high up. Because the low-hanging fruit, I don't actually need to worry about a path to the trunk. Because you can just pick them off from the ground. It's the high-hanging fruit that need the path. So we would start off with the high-hanging fruit. But I'm saying, what if I have two of these? Well, I would just change orientation and make them both. Oh, hey, the L3D cube thing. Oh, yeah. Although your tree is not a literal tree. Okay, yeah, I think I'd be able to, I would like to take a look at it. Right, no, we'd start with the fruit and the C shape and then build backwards. I'm thinking actually it wouldn't be that hard to have it if I have multiple trees. If I have multiple high-hanging fruit, because that actually means that there's just more paths. So actually, you know, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We should do the the first thing to do. I'm going to do it tomorrow because I'm just super exhausted. We're going to start off with the fruit and the C shape and then build a path to the ground. And then we're going to set these red blocks that are like no grow zones. And then what happened? Then in the code we would generate the tree around it. And then I'll worry about having multiple cubes. So, anyway, that's been, I think it's been almost an hour. I could separate the algorithm into branch and trunk. The branches hold the fruit. Have the branches all grow towards the top of the trunk. And the trunk goes towards the ground. That is also a good point. Yes. Yeah, no, that is good. I'm gonna have to start playing around with it tomorrow. Yeah, I'm gonna end the stream here. I also don't know why Google Hangout is on. I think that's from Friday. But yeah, all right. Thank you, Latravis. That's been really helpful. Yeah, I'm glad I'm sort of like started to figure out the language for how to approach this. Yes, David Kilmer, thank you for stopping by. I'm gonna get some rest, and thank you all for stopping in. It's a very quiet stream, low energy, but hopefully tomorrow I'll have a lot more energy. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll pick up kind of from where we started. So, all right, take care.